Nichol Kessinger, tak jak reszta świata, była zaskoczona, że jej nowy mężczyzna jest mordercą. Znała Wattsa ponad 2 miesiące, pracowali razem i nic w jego zachowaniu, łagodnym spojrzeniu i opanowanym głosie nie wzbudzało niepokoju. Chris z ochotą opowiadał o córkach, za które wydawało się oddałby życie, a także o żonie, z którą przeprowadzał rozwód.
We have breaking new details about the case of that missing pregnant mother.
Wszystko to było kłamstwem. Prawdziwy Chris Watts okazał się bezlitosnym mordercą, zabójcą tych córek, które tak bardzo kochał, i żony, z którą się rozwodził. Kobiety w 4. miesiącu ciąży. Wiadomości telewizyjne były pełne spekulacji. Pozostała tylko jedna rzecz do zrobienia. Przerażona kochanka zadzwoniła na policję.
Can you speak up just a little bit so the recorder... I know you're tired and you're stressed and we won't be here any longer than we have to be. You've already had a conversation with people before.
Szef agentów CBI powiedział: było to w czasie przesłuchania Wattsa, które nastąpiło po badaniu wariograficznym i w konsekwencji doprowadziło do jego aresztowania. Wiedzieliśmy, że był on romantycznie związany z inną kobietą, chociaż twierdził, że nie. I w chwilę, gdy poznaliśmy jej nazwisko, zadzwoniła do nas na typline. Sumując, powiedziała: hej, to ja jestem tą drugą kobietą. Następnego dnia po aresztowaniu Wattsa, Nichol zaproszona została do komendy policji na rozmowę z detektywami. Towarzyszył jej ojciec.
You came here on your own free will to talk to us. We picked you up at your request and brought you here. You can get up and leave at any time. You don't have to talk to us.
Przywieźliśmy panią tutaj na jej własną prośbę. Może pani stąd wyjść w każdej chwili. Stwierdzenia te osiągają 2 cele. Pierwszy, oczywisty, to uspokojenie naturalnie zdenerwowanej Nichol. A drugi, równie ważny, jeśli nie ważniejszy, to ukazanie, że pani Kessinger podaje informacje bez presji i przymusu. Jej zeznanie wtedy może być użyte w ewentualnym późniejszym przewodzie dowodowym jako materiał ewidencyjny. Tak więc każde przesłuchanie czy rozmowa informacyjna ze świadkami prowadzone są pod kątem przydatności dla prokuratora i możliwości zaakceptowania przez sędziego.
If there's a question you don't want to answer, don't answer it. If you don't want to talk anymore, just tell me I want to leave. And I'm kind of in the way of the door, but you're not being interrogated as a criminal suspect. We're here to understand your relationship with Chris and what you know about Chris and his family and events relating to Chris Watts. So the phone number that you reached him on, can you tell me what that number was?
I think I deleted that out of my phone too. I just cut him out of my life.
Okay. So let's just start with a timeline of your getting to know Chris, how you guys met, where you met, all those things. Let's just run. And I'm not going to ask you specific questions unless I think it's necessary. I'll let you just tell me your story. I think it's a little bit easier that way. So I just want to know how you met him, where you met him, how long you guys were dating, and those kind of things initially.
Okay. I think I met him sometime in June, probably early June. It might have been May. It was just talking at work. It was pretty casual. And he didn't have a wedding ring on his finger. And every time I talked to him, he didn't tell me that he was in a relationship. He didn't even mention his kids right away either. And then one day he told me that he had 2 kids. I was like, that's pretty cool. And then he's telling me about him. He's pretty excited about him. And then he mentioned that he did have a significant other. And then he told me that those 2 were in the process of a separation.
Did he mention the children's name or his significant other's name?
I didn't know his significant other's name for a while. And then I think he told me his kids' names pretty quick, but to be honest with you, on an exact date of when that happened, I don't know.
But he comes into the office frequent?
In the mornings. His team meets in the mornings. They're not all in there every day. Some days some of them are in there, some days other ones are in there, but in the mornings typically from 6:15 to probably 7, somewhere around there.
And is that where you met Chris?
Yes.
Okay. So can you just take us through kind of a little bit of the early part of how he courted you or you courted him? I don't know which one happened. How you guys got to know each other.
I guess we just started talking. He actually, and we were having some pretty serious, like, equipment issues, and we had numerous amounts of people coming in my office one day, and he happened to be one of them. And I'd seen him before, like, they meet in the lunchroom, and that's where I go put my lunch in the fridge. So I'd seen him, but I didn't ever, like, talk to him. So that day we just started talking, and then every time I saw him in the hallway after that, and it was always hit or miss, like it wasn't an everyday thing, it was just when I saw him, we just started talking, and we just kind of had a lot in common and just hit it off, so we'd always have, you know, pretty good conversations, and then, I don't know, one day he told me that he had kids and started talking about his kids, and then mentioned, yes, that I have a wife, but we're getting separated. I said, okay. And then,
When do you think that was?
when he said all that,
So specifically when he told you he was getting separated from his wife, was that within the first couple of weeks that you knew him, or was that later on? You said you met him around May or June.
yeah, it was still in June.
Okay.
It would have been before Father's Day.
So had you guys ever gone out on any kind of
No.
date at that time? You just
No,
were
no.
conversing at work?
Yeah, that's all it was. And then, I don't know. We started hanging out. We hung out. We went to a park. Hung out at a park.
Let's go back real quick. So why did he tell you that he was getting a divorce? Did he ask you out at that time?
No, he didn't. I think he was probably interested in me. And so, he talked to me a couple times via his work phone, and I was like, no. Like, it was still very, like, friendly conversation. But then when I realized, like, this man is interested in me, I'm interested in him, this is personal, so we got away from the Anadarko thing, because I really don't want those guys affiliated with any of this. And
So you have a work phone that's specifically...
no, I have one phone that I do both on. He has two phones.
Okay.
Took it to his phone because I just felt it was, like, better that way. And we just continue to talk, and then
Let me go back to the park. Where's the park?
it's, like, down the street from my house.
Your house?
Yeah.
And that was in the June time frame.
Or like the beginning of July. It was like right around my birthday. It's like so sometime at the very end of June or the beginning of July.
Okay. And that's the first meeting you had outside of work?
Yeah.
Basic conversation for a first date?
I mean, we kept it pretty simple, I guess, you know. I don't even remember everything we talked about. We
Sure.
were there for a few hours.
What I'm interested in is knowing is when he brings up his children, when he brings up his wife, when he brings up financial information, when he brings up his home. If he ever made any kind of statements that you were like, whoa, that was weird. Or why would he say that? Or why did he mention that? Do you understand where I'm going with that?
I completely understand. And to be honest with you, I mean, there were several discussions that we had about his current relationship and where it had gone and what it had caused. And he talked about his kids from time to time. But the thing is he was never hostile. It was never anything aggressive. Like, even when he spoke of his wife and the fact that they were separating, it was never, like, ill. It was still very kind. It was just like, this is not working, you know, and would explain why, but it wasn't anything out of the ordinary or anything that I think would scare me. And to this day, even after everything that I found out, I still look back at that and I don't see any red lights with the way that he spoke of his family.
Can you just describe his overall demeanor over the 8, 10, 12 weeks that you guys knew each other?
It wasn't that long. It was like 6 weeks that we were hanging out. Well, I guess we knew each other longer.
Okay, but you met him in the office, and just his overall persona, who was he aggressive? Was he mellow? Was he calm? Was he outspoken? Who was Chris?
I think he's an introvert. I would consider him to be like a pretty, I don't want to say he's a very reserved individual. I think he's probably more reserved around other people. I think he emphasized to me that one of the reasons that he really enjoyed talking to me is because if he felt like he could get out of his shell. And he said with me, it made him feel like he could really just start talking about things that excited him. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that we had things in common. So with me, I think he was a little bit more outgoing, but even then, I would still consider him to be an introvert. Really relaxed, like all the time.
Mellow,
Chilled.
easygoing guy.
Very much.
Okay. Did you guys ever have arguments? I mean,
No.
pretty short relationship. No arguments during that time.
No.
Did he ever lose his temper at any time?
Never.
You guys never had a yelling match?
No.
So you never saw him upset or mad?
No.
No sense that this guy had a temper or
Not at all.
was aggressive, or he never lost his mind and yelled and said crazy stuff or anything
No.
like that? Okay.
No.
So can we just kind of go back to your relationship? You say you guys had a lot in common. What was that?
Oh, I mean, like, we're both really into fitness. I think that's important. It's a lifestyle. Both of us ate pretty healthy, so I think that was important as well. He likes cars a lot, and I don't know nearly as much about them, but it's always been something that I've been pretty interested in, so we definitely talk about stuff like that. He was always willing to, like, learn new stuff, and vice versa. Like, I like to travel a lot, and it's not something that he's done a lot, but he seemed, like, really interested in what I had to share with him, and vice versa. So even if it wasn't something that we originally had in common together, it was just like, hey, I respect what you have to say, and vice versa.
So you guys, yin and yang, you got along pretty well.
Very well.
Did you guys spend most of the time at your place?
Always.
Okay, always at your place.
I told Mark yesterday, he asked me if I went over there, and I told him about one time that I went over to that house. I've been to that house twice, but it was very, very brief, and it was not like an extended stay. I did not feel comfortable there, or like, I just didn't want to be there. It's not my life. Like, that is somebody else's life, and I respect that. That's their space. And so I used to tell him, well, come to my house, because this is our space. This is my space.
Did you meet his children?
Nope. I
During
didn't want
June
to.
and July?
And he didn't ask me to.
Okay.
I mean, not that I didn't want to ever. It was just not now. It's like you're not finalized with your separation. And not only that, we've barely been dating. Like, you can't introduce kids to somebody new in a situation like that. That's something that takes time. Would I have liked to have met them? Of course. Let's see where we're at in 6 months. Let's see where we're at in a year. And if we're still doing this and you think that this is something that is going to be long-term and is worth bringing your children into the picture, then yes, I would love to meet them. But it's like, not right now.
I want to share some information with you. Just, it protects you and it protects our investigation. So if it seems weird, there's a reason I'm asking it.
That's
and
fine.
It's usually relative to what I know. You went to his house on 2 occasions.
Yes.
Was that recent?
No, that was like pretty early into it. And I did not like it and did not want to go back.
Okay. Did it look like anybody else lived at that house at that
Oh,
time?
definitely.
Okay.
I mean,
So
the
is that
whole
what
thing.
freaked you out?
I mean, he told me that he was living in the basement, and he said, we're separated, but we're not divorced, and we're going to get ready to sell the house. And that was the impression that I was under. And I was under the impression that they were taking everything pretty slow with this, with, like, getting ready to sell the house. I mean, those are big things. In that sense, like, it's believable to me. Yes, I went to the house, and the first time I was there, I hung out in their, like, front living room. I just sat on the floor. And then there was another day about... I really want to help you guys. I do. I feel like this whole thing is just going to be crazy regardless of whether I give you my phone or not. I'll give it to him.
I think you hit the nail right on the head. There's reasons why we want everything. It validates things that we know. If you tell me something today, we'll validate it with your text messages, whether it's the ones we have now or the ones you're going to give us.
I'll give
Certainly.
it to him. So the second time I went to that house, I'm not sure what day it was, but it was the weekend of 14th.
Of August?
July. We had went out and we stopped there just real quick on the way back. And we were there not very long, but that time I saw a picture of his wife and one of his kids. And I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, she's so beautiful. And I, like, took a step back and I was just like, this man has a gorgeous house. He has beautiful babies. He has a beautiful wife. He has an awesome job. Like, why would he want to leave this? And I remember talking to him about it. And that was the first time that I tried to actually say, what do you think about not separating from your wife? Like, what if you really try to work on this? And he had expressed to me that we've tried to work on this and it's not working, so that is why we're separating. And for me, the way I would have preferred to do this is could have approached me and said, I'm just had a divorce, you know, maybe we could take this slow, what do you think? But instead it was, oh, we're separated and we're working on a divorce. And that is the part that I feel bad about, because I should have waited on that and I didn't. And, you know, I was just like, well, they're already there. So, you know, but then being in a house, I was just like, why? Fix this. Find a way to fix this. Make it work, you know? I was like trying to push him to do it, and he seemed pretty reluctant to do it. He didn't want to. And I don't know, we were still seeing each other fairly frequently, but I kind of like backed away so we weren't hanging out quite as much, and we were still close, but it was just like I really wanted him to try. Like I wanted to know that he tried and it didn't work. I just thought he had a beautiful life going on and he could have made it work.
Is this something you reflected on since this event, or was this you?
No, I was doing it then. Like you
said, this doesn't look right. He's kind of, I don't want to be responsible for breaking up a marriage, especially with 2 children. Is that kind of the gist I'm getting here?
I didn't think it didn't look right. I mean, I think he was legitimately sleeping in the basement. I mean, I think it was like, hey, we're both stuck in this house for now. We got to sell this. In the meantime, you live here, I live here. We sleep in different rooms, take care of the kids. I was like, why don't you just try this out, you know, and see if you can fix it. And he'd always be like, well, what about us? What about us? I'm like, don't worry about us. Like, that is more important. Like, try to see if you can, like, salvage whatever it is that you have going on with your wife. He told me that, he went to North Carolina. And he was like, I'm going to talk to her when I'm in North Carolina and see if I can get her to do this.
Okay, so try to salvage his relationship as you've been asking him.
So, I mean, this was like a couple weeks that I was just kind of like trying to push him to do that.
Let's pause at North Carolina, and we'll come back to that real quick.
On and on and on.